Okay, well, we moved on past the first week on an introduction to educational research, and now it's time to move to week 2, January 16th through the 21st, selecting and defining a research topic. And yes, that quiz from last week is a big one, so hopefully you're able to finish that one okay. That's the biggest one, the biggest chapter that you'll have to read, and it tries to kind of give you a nice overview of all the different areas of research within one chapter. The rest of them will be a little bit better, I think, as far as that goes. So yeah, just to look back a little bit, make sure you did watch the live introduction session from last week and you prepared or participated in the class introduction and also took the first quiz. This week there's more to read, chapter 2. And then there is a Chapter 2 quiz. Be aware that the quizzes from now on have 20 questions like before, but they also are just 60 minutes. And it was 90 minutes from the previous one just because it was so long, so much content to try to cover in that one chapter. This week, though, you're going to start reading research reports on your topic. So the topic this week is to select and define a research topic, and there's no better way to do this than by reading research reports. And the challenge is, and this is a challenging class for sure, in order to be ready to submit your preliminary literature review, which we do in a few weeks, you need to start right now to read scholarly articles within an area of research interest to you. So again, you have to get into the area of research interest that you want to be looking at. You're going to find articles that are peer-reviewed or published books on a subject, and also most articles that you read should be research reports, meaning that they report on a research study done and include findings from the study. Some articles can be analyses or summaries of research reports or other types of publications, but most of what you read should be research reports. And so the challenge is to start reading 2 or 3 research articles each week, and you'll be just fine when it comes to your literature review and research plan for this class. But what you need to do too is take an annotated bibliography of each article as well. So what you want to do is for each article you read, copy the reference information in APA format like these examples. And so there are a couple of examples from a book or an article or a book section. And then when you have the reference information for the article and as you're reading it, make some notes about the article and put these close to your citation. And so list some of the main points that stick out to you, list the study methods, and be sure to include the findings. What did they find in this article? And that's what you do. If you make that, it's called an annotated bibliography. And if you make that as you read these 2 to 3 research articles every week, then you'll be in good shape and on track for the assignments that you have in the future. If you don't, you might get a little bit behind, and you don't want that to happen in this class because there's a lot that has to be done each week for this class to work out. This is a tough class. It's I would say it's the toughest class that I teach by far, because there's just so much that is covered and so much that is foundational to the rest of your graduate studies. So that's the first thing to start doing, is to look up those research reports on your topic. Well, one way to do that is by following the library instructions here. And so there are a couple of videos created by Lynn Klunt, and she's a resource to help you to find things as well. But these are some videos that you can watch that will show you how to look through the databases in the library, introduction to the library resources that are available to you in order for you to start finding those research reports on your topic. And again, if you don't know what your topic is yet, that's okay. You don't have to have it nailed down right now. You can continue to explore, but reading these research reports is again a way to explore your topic. You might find a research study that you read and you might say, boring, I don't care about that. And so maybe that's not the topic that you want to pick for your research study. Or you might read another one that is kind of riveting to you, kind of interesting, and so you might want to make sure that you follow that one and start to look more within that area. But really the idea is to really narrow this down as you're reading these articles and taking the annotated bibliography information so that you can narrow it down to what you want to really study for this semester. This week you'll also read Chapter 2 and review those slides there, and you'll take a quiz later on Chapter 2 on selecting and defining a research topic. And it will teach you a little bit more about how to do this process of designing or defining a research process or problem. And then you'll post on the discussion board about a general topic or two that you would like to focus on for your own research study. And this is an opportunity to get some responses back from the class. Remember, you need to respond to 2 other students' posts as well as part of the discussion for this week. But it's an opportunity for you to narrow your topic maybe a little bit and focus your work as you get feedback from others and as I provide you with some feedback in the discussion board. So that's something to explore as well this week. And then other than that, we have learning modules. And so the learning modules that are set up for you to watch help you to learn about searching for information, strategies for that, and sources of information, as well as academic integrity. Unfortunately, at this point in time, those are not working yet. So you can complete the rest of the things for this week with your time, but the learning module links are not working. I've got to call into customer support on that. I think we'll be able to get it cleared up hopefully by the end of today, but if not, maybe a little bit later in the week. We'll just adjust accordingly. But I'll send you out just a quick email letting you know that those are up and going when they are, so that you can get to the learning modules on searching for information, sources of information, and academic integrity. Before I finish today, though, I did want to just stress the idea of academic integrity. Be very, very careful, especially in this class. This is a class about being honest in your work, about using academic integrity in the work that you do. And so you need to be very, very careful when you quote anyone else's work to make sure you have the proper quotations and so forth for doing that. In other words, make it very clear that what words in the assignment are your own words and what words are someone else's. Now in this class it's okay to quote somebody else. It's okay to include other people's work and talk about what their study included and do all that kind of a thing, but you need to make it clear that this is someone else's work, that they talked about this in their paper, and you're building upon that, and make it very clear what words are your own and what words are someone else's, because otherwise it is plagiarism, and you do have to just be very careful about that. And that does result in a 0 if you do have plagiarism in your paper. I do use also some Turnitin to check to see what elements of the papers are from other sources, and that gives me a quick idea of whether you've quoted from another source or not. It really does well with finding other sources of information that you might have quoted or forgotten to quote and included in your paper. So just a word about that. That's important. Well, give me a chance to put up those learning modules, and I hope that I'll get those going as soon as I can. But the rest of it you should be able to get started on and interact with as we go along, and then we'll go from there. So have a great week, and we'll see you later.